Hi everybody, this is Tina with Rehatch Designs. I hope everybody's doing well. This is just a little craft with me. I was in here working on a journal and I'm doing some things, and I thought, well, I'll just turn on the camera and maybe somebody might be interested in this. I am going to be making these little pockets. Well, I guess they could be pockets, tags, whatever, and they're basically collaged with material, and they end up looking like a little crazy quilt. So if you guys are interested in seeing how I do that, let me show you. I have a little example. Here's one that I made, and it's just with scraps of material and an index card. And anyway, it's kind of self-explanatory, but I thought we would just go ahead and do it and kind of chit chat and have a good time. And so that's what we're doing. It's not really a tutorial, it's a craft with me, so you know, it's not going to be just our subject matter. We may talk about things, so if you don't like that, then I would speed it up. Okay, anyway, this is an index card and I have coffee dyed it, and the reason I'm going to do this on an index card is because you can definitely use these for journaling cards if you don't want to use them for what I'm going to be using them for. I like to use them as pockets most of the time, but let me go ahead and show you. Let me put this off to the side. How I do this. I like to take my scraps and any other little bits that I have of material and make little patchwork quilts. But I usually take material and I back it first. And this is some material that came in, I think I bought it in like at the thrift shop. I'm going to go ahead and kind of rip it. I like to rip things just because I like that ripped edge. And this is actually a little bit longer than I need. But the thing is, I use the index cards because they end up being about the right width that I need for a pocket. And I usually make it a little bit bigger. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and rip some more of this off, because I'm going to go ahead and get that down. And always save your little pieces, because that's basically what we're going to be using. And you know, depending upon what size you want left over, I mean, you definitely don't have to coffee dye these. I just have a bunch that are already coffee dyed. And I am going to just take this and put it down. I'm not crazy about this, the print here, but it's going to get covered up. So that's why this is a good thing to use if you have like material or something that, you know, you're not crazy about. So, and I am just going to use my art glitter glue here. And I'm just going to put some on, and I'm not worried about getting it on there perfectly, because honestly, we're going to be sewing over this, so it doesn't really matter. And let's see, and I could even put this on there upside down. It wouldn't make any difference, and it doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, I like it better if it's not perfect, and I do like the little raggedy edges on there. So alright, so I start with that. And then basically I just cut up bunches of little pieces of material into somewhat of a square or rectangle. I just am trying to kind of mimic a quilt, and I found a few more pieces here that I wanted to use. Now I prefer not to cut them. I like to rip them, and the reason I do that is because I like the jagged edge. And some of these won't rip well both ways. So like this one didn't rip that great that way. It has a lot of these little things on here. I'm going to leave a lot of them. But like I said, not all material is going to rip both ways that well, but that's okay. I love those little pieces. And so I will cut, and I make them different sizes. I am trying purposely not to make them uniform. You'll see like that one is not ripping very well that way. Nope. So if it doesn't rip both ways, then you know, you may have to cut it, but that's okay. And I am basically just picking out material that I think will go good with the journal I'm making, and I'm trying not to make my squares too big, and I definitely don't want them too uniform. I want them to look very, very different in size. So I'm trying to go out of my way to make them different. That's the big thing, because the lack of uniformity is what really makes it cool. And when you're cutting these down, I mean, you're obviously going to not use, like, I won't use all 4 of these on one piece, but you might as well rip it up while you're doing it, because you will use them later. And I love doing these things this way because they turn out so cute. And you're using your scraps up too. So a lot of these pieces, if you saw my thrift store haul, I think I ended up paying 10 cents for these big bunches of these. So whenever you see these little patchwork, like little scraps at a thrift store or something, don't pass them up, because you can usually do stuff. Junk journals, just a lot of the elements in it don't take a lot of materials, so you know, that kind of stuff goes really well. And you don't have to use, you could use rip up clothes. I mean, it doesn't matter. I personally like to have cotton materials that are not too bulky, because and that usually that's why the quilting scraps and stuff are so great, because you know, they're not overly bulky. And there's so many things you can do with this. So I am just going to keep tearing. And you don't have to tear. If you guys would rather cut, then you can cut. But I like the torn edges. I like that look. Some people may not. And as I said, I try very hard to make sure that they're all different. Okay, now I have enough to start, and what I'll do as I'm going along, if I need to cut it, I'll cut it. I use a glue stick to stick everything down, okay, and I just take my glue stick, and the reason I do that is I'm going to sew this after. So I just kind of go and I do like maybe like, let's just say a third of it, okay? I don't do the whole thing, and then I just start picking up pieces and try not to think too hard. And I'm literally going to be covering most of this up. That's why it doesn't matter your material on the bottom. My biggest prerequisite for this usually is that it be lightweight cotton, so that, you know. Now see how that you have that little bit showing there? That's fine. No big deal. That's part of the reason why you put the material on the bottom. And the reason I put the index card on there is that to give it like a base, and that it structurally will end up a lot better for when you you know, put a pocket or put stuff in it and stuff like that. So, and I try and put these together, but I'm not overly thinking it. I'm trying not to put the same shapes next to each other, because it ends its spontaneity look to it. So even though I'm doing all rectangles, I mean, you could actually, you know, put other shapes in there. Now I didn't put any glue right here, I just kept going. That's because my pieces were bigger, but that's okay, because I'm going to come in and I'm not trying to glue these down, I'm just trying to tack them down. And yes, I know this one's crooked and it's hanging over, but that's okay, because we can fix it later, or really we could just leave it the way it is. And so I just take this, I'm just going to go ahead and do the rest. And these are super easy, super fast, and they turn out so cute. And if you're doing a journal that has different textiles in it and stuff, this is a great way to incorporate all of that into your journal. Let me see. Oh, I love that blue. Put that right there. And then I have this piece right here that's kind of weird, so we will try and figure that out. Let's see. Oh, okay, maybe this one will work there. So you can see I'm trying to stay with the shape of the index card somewhat. I'm not worried about overlapping. Let's see. How about maybe this one right there. Let's see, I need kind of a long piece. And of course, this is where you can cut your pieces to fit if you need like a certain size piece. But that works pretty good. Okay, that's all I'm trying to do is that right there, okay? And here I'll just put a little bit right there. If I see any spots that are super loose, I'll come down and do that. But as I said, we will be sewing over these, okay? So then the next thing that I do is I add lace to it, and the reason I add lace is I just like that broken up look of the lace in there. And what'll happen is you'll have all these like little corners and stuff like that where they come together, and when you put your lace or your trim on there, it really looks I don't know, it just adds something. Now I do like the strings, but if there's too much, just cut a little off. But I'm going to take again my glue stick because we will be sewing over this. Now you could definitely do this without sewing. I think the look is better with sewing because once you sew it all down, it has a really fun look to it. And on my lace, I am not putting it on there straight purposely because I want it to have that kind of crazy look to it. But there is some intention behind it because what I'm doing is I am taking like where I have these little pieces all together. I'm softening all those corners by putting a piece of lace there, and it goes like that. And I do tend to try and put different kinds, different kinds of lace. I definitely am pulling from my scrap bin over here. Okay, see, like that's a little different, and I'll put that there. All right, and go like that. And I think I'll put one more piece maybe right here, a very small piece, let's see, but I want it to be something different. Maybe I'll try this little green piece. That might look cool. And of course I try and make my lace and my trim go all different ways. And believe it or not, guys, that's all I do. Okay, so I sew it and then I trim it up, or I could trim it up now. Like this is a little crooked right here. Yes, I want it crooked, but not super, I want to be able to use it. And if you stick with the size of the index card, you end up making it the size of what you would need for a pocket, which is about a little bit over 5 inches, maybe 5 1/4. And so you just sew it, and then you could glue this on later. If you don't want to do that, you could definitely sew around it and trim it, or even leave it the way it is and just use that as a journaling card. The fun thing about this is it's very thin, it's not overly bulky. Now of course you can make it bulky. You could put stuff like yo-yo on it if you wanted to. You could take buttons or something and put that on it. That'd be so cute. I think I am going to probably put buttons on some of the ones I did. But I don't do that till after I sew it, okay? And let's do a couple more and then I'll sew them, and then we'll see, and I'll decorate them up, and then you can see how adorable they are when they're done. And this is just a great way to get through your fabrics, just like our snippets are great too. And of course you can make clusters. The other thing too is when you do this, you could just make long strips of these on any kind of paper, and then cut it up later and use them for snippets or whatever. But I just love taking different fabrics and going crazy with them. So alright, so one of the things I like to do too is like to make a big tag out of this. Now my pieces on my tags I usually use are a little bit bigger, so I'm going to go ahead and start with that. You know, they don't have to be. There's no rules really. You can do with what you think it looks the best. I do just put a few bigger pieces in there. I don't know why. I just think, well, I guess it too depends on the size of your tag. Like this is a really big tag. So, you know. Now I have a lot of vintage pieces here, and it's mainly because I buy those little packets, you know, that have all the little stuff on there. Now what I'm doing on this is I am not putting material on here first. I'm just putting it right on here. And the reason I'm doing that is I do not want this to get too bulky, because I probably will decorate this up quite a bit. Oh yeah, this is the one that does not tear all that well. All right, I think that's good. All right, I think that is that, and I will sew that up, and then you'll be able to see it. You're just going to trim around the edges like here, you know, maybe trim that a tiny bit, but I did try and line it up to where I had a lot of frayed edges on the edge, so I'm going to probably leave all those. I like them. Okay, and that is what we'll do, and it's really not hard to punch through this cotton material, so don't worry about doing that later when you have to punch a hole. But that is how we do our tag, and pretty much that's what I do. The other thing that you can do with this, as I said, is you can make one big one, and then we'll just do that. And of course, to me, oh, I didn't put any lace on that. Let's just do that. I forgot about that. Again, this one kind of looks cute without it, though, doesn't it? You could put lace all over it. Wouldn't that be cute? That'd be cute too, wouldn't it? If I took just a white piece, maybe. Let's see. What if we just took a white piece? That's really cute, isn't it, guys? What do you think? Does that cover too much of it up? Maybe it does. I don't know if I have one that would work really good. You know, I think I'm just going to go. I'm going to do what I was doing, so but that's a thought, because I don't want to have to hunt around for things while I'm doing my video. But on a big piece, I try and add several of the same kind of elements. Let me see, I may not even like this when I get done, but I usually always do. Somehow adding lace on there later, like see on all these little pieces right here, what that does for me is it just what that does for me is it just breaks up those little hard edges in there. So now realistically, guys, I'm going to put something down in the middle of this tag as a focal point, so I don't know what that's going to be yet, but so you know, I don't know. And my pieces of lace are bigger, you know, obviously on a bigger tag. The one thing I do is I'll put white pieces, beige pieces, different kinds of pieces, you know. All right, so anyway, that is all I do. Basically the same thing as I do on the other one. On these long pieces, on these pieces of paper, and I don't know, I'm just going to cut it into a strip like this. This is just kind of along the lines of a snippet roll. I didn't do a very good job cutting that straight. It doesn't really matter actually, but anyway, I will just take this and you know, glue a long strip together. On this, again, you can put material down, and if I do put a material down, I usually always put just a long cotton strip, okay? I am not going to do that on this one because I think we're not going to need it, and that's partly why I picked the pink, is that if it does show through, it will you know, you won't see it. You'll see pink. you'll just see pink, okay? All right, so that is my piece right there, and I know it doesn't look like much, but again, so are we going to put lace on it? I think we are. And this time I'm going to put, and the one good thing that you can do with this, guys, is you have to think later on. You can add so many things to this to make it look so cool. You know, and I like to wait until I know where I'm going to put it specifically. And like, I know I'm going to use this in my journal, but I don't know where I'm going to put it yet. Because like if I want to use this as a belly band, right? And if I put something here, you know, or here, or here, here, it may not be in the middle of the belly band, or it may, I don't know. And then, or if I want to use it as a pocket, well, do I want to put something here? Do I want to put lace across? So I put the random things on now that really don't make a difference, you know, and then I go on later on, and then I put those other things just like you would on a snippet roll. And this is just another form of really of a snippet roll, I guess. It's just colorful and, you know, using colorful fabric. I love doing that. I'm going to cut that because those are starting to be a little bit too big. And I'm doing the same thing that I did with the material. Is if I cut a piece of lace out to use, and these are just scrap pieces. But they're just bigger, so that gives me more of the same thing that I can put all the way around. And even though it looks hodgepodge, it looks cohesive because what I'm doing is I'm taking the same lace and trim and I'm putting it all over, but I'm putting it very strategically. Okay, so that's going to be this, all right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the camera and I'm going to go ahead and sew all these, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you what they look like sewn, because I think it's really important, you know, to see the difference. And again, if you were gluing these down, I would use a good glue, like a 3-in-1 or tacky glue or something like that, that can hold these down. You know, just because I think that helps a lot, you know, so they stay, but it really honestly does not have the same look as sewing. And I would, you know, think about it. Sewing is not hard on paper at all. And I think I had said this, I'm not sure, but I found in thrift shops lots of times you can find a sewing machine for 20 bucks or less, you know, just an old one, because all you need is just a regular stitch or maybe a zigzag stitch, and that's it. So, you know, you may find one there. I always see people talking about those handheld things and if they're worth it, and trust me, don't. I bought one in a garage sale because I thought, okay, that would be a great way. You know, I was going to hem up these drapes. Oh, this thing, it wasn't worth it. Trust me. Was not worth it. And I got it for like $5, I think, and they sell for like 20 something. And I'm telling you, you can find a used sewing machine for that. Okay, so I finished all of them, and I just kind of want to show you the difference of how it looks after you sew it. It looks just, I don't know, a lot more quilted. I don't know, it has so much more texture. So that is the tag one that we did. And of course, you know what, I may or may not put a focal point on this, but if I did, because it's so colorful, I probably would do something like black and white, like maybe a Tim Holtz doll or something like that. Or here's the other one I told you. Now, like I said, these make great pockets. But again, you know, you could make them into journaling cards. And also too, on the journaling card, let me show you. This is what all the stitching looks like in the back. So it's pretty much crazy. I go all the way around it and I do that. And I left it like this. Normally what I would do is I would go ahead and put a backing on it when I'm all done sewing and then sew around it. But I wanted you to see how crazy, you know, you have to do the stitching. And I do a zigzag stitch because that catches more of the fabric. Like I can see a piece here that maybe I could go back on. And then here's this one, and I would do the same thing. If you're going to use this as a journaling card, back it with maybe another index card and then sew around it. But I wanted you to see, I go around it and then I go ahead and then kind of catch everything in the other parts of it. And then here is the big, what I would call our snippet roll. But it's not on material. Now of course you can do this on material and then it would roll and then you have pieces or whatever. The reason I'd like to do it like this for the purposes that I'm going to use it is that if I decide to use this as a snippet, like if I cut off a piece of that and let's say I put a button or something on there or whatever, then this stiffer cardstock is stiff enough to where I can tuck things in there. And if I use it as a pocket, let's say I cut that, then it will be stiff enough that I can put stuff in. Or if I use it as a belly band, let's say, then that's stiff enough. I could sew this to the top and the bottom, and then you could put something in there. But anyway, that is pretty much it, guys. Here's some other ones that I did. Here's one that I just put some trim on top just to show you. You can jazz it up, do whatever it is you want to do. A great way to use your scraps. And I'm doing this journal. I'll show you what I'm doing. I don't have all the pages done, but just let me just kind of show you how cute that these look if you just put them like on a page or something, right? Isn't that adorable? I mean, that is just adorable. So I mean, or like, okay, so like a tag, if you were to put a tag like that in there, or you know, even just like if you put a snippet at the bottom of a page and you just do that. So these things, you're using up your scraps and at the same time, you know, you're making something really, really cute, I think. So we will see you again soon, and I don't know when another video is going to come out. My videos are very hit or miss, basically because of my timing, and also sometimes it takes forever to upload. Sometimes it's like, just seems like it's instant. So I have no idea, you know, I can't give you a set day or anything. So best thing to do is subscribe, hit the bell, and then you'll know when I'm doing another video. And I will see you guys soon. I hope you got some inspiration out of that. So get your scraps out. If you don't have a lot, I'm telling you, go to the thrift stores and stuff, because they'll have grab bags full of stuff like this that you can get for next to nothing, and it makes some really, really cute things for your journals. All right, take care.